Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Soul Horizons Tarot. I'm doing a reading, or a general reading for the sign of Virgo. As this is a general reading, it will not resonate for everyone. So just take what applies and leave the rest. If you do want to schedule a private reading, all of that information is in the description box. And this is going to be part one. I'm only going to do brief overview of it with no more than one clarifier. I've cut down the spread. This is not because I like you Virgos any less. It's just my other readings are taking entirely too much time. So I cut down the spread a little bit to save some time. But if you are interested, if this does resonate for you or you're just curious, there will be a part two, which will be a little bit more in-depth. It's an extended reading, so we'll have more clarifiers, and therefore more information. So we're going to hop right into it with the overall energy, which is the Three of Swords. Now, the overall energy kind of just talks about the energy surrounding the spread. So your situation, and it's not necessarily a present. It could be something that leads up to this three here, which does talk about pain, sadness, grief, loss of some kind. It can even represent a health, poor health, maybe surgery. But let's see what this other card is here with the Fool. I'm not even going to play with you. I did this spread and I had to look at all the cards. And there's one particular story that came out or came through the strongest. Some of you will resonate it, the others of you are not. I do have a separate story, but the one that came out the strongest was about a connection. Now, this is a general reading, therefore it's not a love reading, but sometimes love is what comes out. And in this one, we have, at least for those of you that resonates for, that are dealing with a connection or possibly the ending of one, we have the Fool here with the Three of Swords. And that's Pisces energy, but it's also Aries. So this would represent maybe taking a leap of faith, taking a chance, kind of risking it all, and possibly leading to heartbreak or sorrow, or you have already experienced this energy, this heartbreak, and because of that, you are trying to get away from that energy, and you are taking a much more, hopeful, optimistic kind of perspective on things. Maybe just trying to get out of that energy. So you're taking a little bit more risks. It could be an escape thing, an escapist, or it could just be that you've been in that energy for so long and you feel like it's time to release yourself from it and try something new. Because the Fool does represent brand new beginnings. So that is your current, your overall. So your current energy and situation is the Page of Wands. So that is a fire energy. Now keep in mind, signs are not as important as energies, as well as the gender of the card. So I'm only going to say he if it's a masculine or male figure on the card, and she, vice versa. But if you are a female and I say he, or you are dealing with a female and I say he, just ignore that and apply the appropriate gender. So Aries, Leo, Sag with the Page of Wands. And as I said earlier, like that hopeful, optimistic uh, energy that you're trying to take here, which that would suggest that you are in that energy right now, because this is your current. So you have faith in something or about something. There could be some low level communication, and by low level I mean, um, there's not a whole lot of weight behind it. It's just kind of like with the Page of Wands specifically, this would be kind of flirtatious, back and forth communication, or kind of playful if it's not romantically involved, and it would be kind of playful. It would be maybe a little bit silly. It could, for some of you, this could be talking about a child. A child might be involved. You may be dealing with a child. Doesn't necessarily have to be a fire sign, but um, another aspect of this card that I always, when I see it, I always think like the way he's holding his hand to his ears, like hoping to hear back from somebody or waiting for a reply. You've sent out, your response, or um, your text or your phone call or your email, and you're waiting back for your reply, and you kind of have a good feeling about it. Maybe, you know, like I said, you're being very playful. But another thing, there's three birds up here. So I kind of see that as like gossip and drama. And that fits pretty well here with the Seven of Swords. Now, the Seven of Swords is the deception card for that's the rap that it gets. But it is also about strategizing. Um, it can be a self-deception. It can be somebody that's trying to go, do things under the radar. Um, but with this card, this could represent that, you're hearing or you're receiving news or messages from people that might not be, you know, full on or full disclosure, transparent, or completely honest. And maybe it's advice that you're getting, or just gossip and drama that you're connected to or involved with. But there's something about it that isn't. Like I said, there's not full disclosure here. There's something unknown, maybe even a little underhanded. Um, this could also be that you're deceiving yourself in a way, or some of you are hiding the fact that you are talking to someone, that you're not telling other people that you've met someone that, or even if you already know this person, maybe you're just not broadcasting it to other people that you and this person are corresponding back and forth. So we would definitely need to clarify this further to see what exactly is going on here. But mainly, for the most part, you're in this energy of like kind of playful, cheerful, um, maybe a little childlike, maybe there's a little bit of innocent um, playfulness here. But there is an element of something not being fully apparent, or you don't have all the information, or you're receiving information that you probably don't want to take too seriously. So this is definitely something we'll clarify in part 2 of the extended reading. Um, so moving on from your current energy, we are looking at your strength. So what are you already very strong? What is something that is helping you here? And we have the 3 and the 4 of Cups. So you may have a good support system as far as, yes, family, but also I see the Three of Cups more so as friends. Um, could be colleagues, it could be, like a sister or sisters. Could be like that close, intimate bond, or not intimate, but that bond, that close bond that you share, all your secrets to, and um, there's everybody knows each other well enough to like share this kind of stuff with. Um, that's for the Three of Cups. Now for the Four of Cups, well, let's keep in one storyline for now. So the Three of Cups would be, like I said, a strong support system. Maybe your friends, your closest friends, like the ones that you've known for a long time and they have your best interest at heart, they may be the best people to go to for advice and different perspectives on how to deal with your situation. Maybe they've been very, like your cheerleaders during this difficult period, if this is something that's already happened. I'm not sure that this isn't something that's coming up in the future for you. Um, but also, even though you have the strong support system with the Four of Cups here, this also tells me that um, you kind of have that good head on your shoulders where you don't always need somebody else's advice. It helps, and it gives you fortitude, and it kind of like bolsters that. But you are very good at kind of separating, distancing all the noise and the commotion and the distraction. Um, because this guy, he's kind of like in this meditative state here. And that's what I feel like that's your strength is even though you can be, one of the girls or guys, you can be the life of the party. You can have a good time. You know when to cut up, but you also know when to shut up and sit still and listen to your own advice. Take into consideration others, but also listen to your own advice because these are cups. So cups are more intuitive. They're more emotional. They're more about feeling as opposed to rationale, logic. Um, but at the same time, in traditional tarot, the Four of Cups can be about being very stubborn, dissatisfied, but I don't see that here. I see it more as like being able to access those emotions and that intuition, but at the same time, leave space for using your head, and making choices in a balanced way, both with your head and your heart. Um, that's where your strengths would lie. Because he's got all of these cups placed around him, and it's like he's very centered, if that makes sense. So while your friends and family and the people closest to you, are very helpful towards you, you also have your own inner strength and your own, capability to be a really good person to listen to because you do have the ability to be wise. Now that's not usually the traditional meaning, but that's just what I feel with this card in particular, especially, the artist portrayal of this card. So that's your strengths. This is what is going to help you, and this is your weaknesses. This is something that you could work on, but would pose as at least somewhat of a hindrance. So we have the Page of Pentacles. Again, pages can represent children. For some of you, there may be an issue or situation with a child. Maybe a child that has been dishonest, been caught lying or cheating or stealing, um, made a foolish decision, and you're dealing with that right now. Um, but I'm going to tell you the first time I saw this card, I was immediately, and I don't know if this is going to pick it up in the camera, but I was immediately drawn to this dog in the back. And he is, can't really tell if he's digging up a bone or if he's burying it. Kind of, I mean, it looks like he's digging it up. So that was the first thing, was digging something up or burying it. And then I thought, I'm not actively thinking these things. These are just things that are running through my mind. Then I thought, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. And then immediately, out of nowhere, this phrase that I've never heard and doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but then it does if you kind of think. But anyway, it was, you can't treat an old bone like a new trick. And maybe for somebody out there that means something. Maybe that is a saying, where they twisted the original and made it into something kind of funny and ironic. But yeah, that's going to be the title of this video, is you can't treat an old bone like a new trick. Now, for some of you, that may not resonate at all. And I do have a separate story that I picked up on, but that was probably the strongest I've felt in a while in just one of these general readings that I do, for no one in particular. Um, but anyway, so strong message there. With the Magician, that would entail that you have manifested this connection for good or for ill. And remember, we are backed up by the Fool, and the Fool is a bright, beautiful, exciting, adventurous energy, but it can also be risky. It can be dangerous because the Fool does not look before he leaps. And the Magician here would suggest this is some type of new beginning, especially the pages. Pages also represent new beginnings. We've actually got a couple cards here that represent children. So new, something in its infancy or toddler, like it's just beginning something. And so that's what the Magician is. He is somebody that manifests, that creates, that wishes something into existence, basically by power of thought and then also action. He just doesn't will it to be, but he also acts on it. Now, on his table, he's got, the pentacle, the sword, the wand, the cup, and it seems like the thing that you manifested here was this giant pentacle, and it looks kind of heavy. But it's very important, obviously, because that's the one thing that was manifested. Now, the pentacle can represent finance. The Page of Pentacles in general can represent a student, somebody that is, going to further their education or maybe take a new path in a new direction towards what they're studying, what their career is. Again, it can represent a child. But again, the strongest thing I felt here was that you have manifested something for good or for ill, but it is still very low level. And I say low level because these are pages. They are the children of the suits. So they're not as grounded, they're not as determined, they're not as mature as the king, the queen, or even the knight. So this would be, something small, like the start of a small um, financial contribution, a financial gift, a financial promotion, something small. It could also be little small steps towards a significant thing, something tangible, small offer, a small offer, or at least the potential of one for something long term or reliable. Um, Again, this would definitely be something that I clarified. But this, keep in mind, this is in a challenge, your challenge place. This isn't something that you are where your weakness is. So, or something that isn't helping you. So it's almost as if you're manifesting things that are low level. You could reach further. You could get more. Um, Maybe you're manifesting the wrong kinds of things. You're prioritizing the wrong kinds of things for you at this time. And with that thing that popped in my head, for some of you, that is, you're starting something that you don't necessarily have any long term vision with. It's just kind of with that Page of Wands, it's kind of like spur of the moment. It's fun. Again, it's not something well thought out. So even though this is a strength up here, it's also as if you are not implementing this. You are not utilizing this strength, and you are using the power of the magician, which is a Virgo card, by the way. Um, you are in your challenge. Your energy is in your challenge. So you are getting in your own way, and you are using your power as the magician to manifest low level, low quality, or just something that you see potential in, but it might not necessarily be true. And maybe that's what that Seven of Swords is right there. Like you're not being honest with yourself about what your intentions and motivations are for manifesting this page here. But again, we'll see when we clarify. So moving on to past, something that is influencing your current. So this is where I said this was probably a connection. We have the Ten of Cups. Oh, I've got this in the wrong position. The Ten of Cups and the Four of Wands. This would, I mean, without going into too much detail, to me, these two cards together would definitely talk about a marriage, if not a marriage, a long-term commitment, or I forgot the freaking term again, common law marriage. Um, but it overall, it talks about a very strong and happy union. At one point, there was a connection that you had with someone, whether it be it a lover, a friend, a family member. If you see these two women are facing each other and they're united and bonded by this red string. And then back here we have these two children. We've got the family. This is the card of the family and happiness, emotional fulfillment. But right here are two children, and they're holding their hands in the exact same way. So for some of you, they may even be a childhood friend. Again, it could represent children. So that's the fifth card. One, two, three, four. Fourth card that could represent children being um, involved. But this is definitely like a connection or a happy home, because the four of wands can also represent a home. It can also represent stability, where there was happiness and emotional fulfillment was was present. Because sometimes you can have stability but still not be emotionally fulfilled. But this is not the case for your recent past. There was something, um, whether it be it a stable job, a stable source of income, a stable lifelong friendship or family network, um, or a relationship. This was both solid and it was emotionally fulfilling. This would definitely, to me, look like a wedding or a marriage or a very happy couple, at least in somebody's eyes. Somebody saw it in this way. Now, that's about all I can say from that without any more clarifiers. Now, I will say one more thing before I move on. There's two little birds on the top of these staffs, wands. And over here, there's two of the very same birds that are here, but a cardinal is in between. In between. So there may be, between a union, there may be somebody that's come between that and kind of offered a distraction. We also do have the Three of Cups and the Three of Swords. So for some of you, this very well could be dealing with a third party situation. But we're going to move on to what is coming towards you. The most important, influential thing coming towards you that you would want or need to know about. And we have I been saying the signs? Yes, I have. Virgo. We also have Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, Aries, Leo, Sag, um, Mercury. Some of you guys, Mercury retrograde that's coming up is involved with this. Um, but yeah, Aries and Pisces, and then now we have Scorpio, Aries. Again, signs are not as relevant as the energy. So the Tower. The Tower can be shocking, unexpected, something that is startling. It can be a very difficult ending as well. Something that tears away at something seemingly solid, destroys a foundation. But in some cases, it can just talk about something out of the blue, something you did not see coming. Now we have the Two of Wands here, and that's looking towards the future. That is being at a crossroads, needing to make a decision, um, kind of being in that like hiatus, like not going back, not moving forward, but right where you need to be, really, and needing to make a choice and take an action, because wands are all about action. Now, this could be from somebody at a distance, or somebody. Let me rephrase that. Somebody at a distance is involved in this. It could be communication as well, from a distance. Doesn't necessarily have to mean across the world, but somebody that isn't, you're not having a face to face with. This is via text, email. Um, but this is a card about the future. So for your future placement, you've got a card that's there's a choice, and it may either be a shocking choice or an unexpected choice that you're posed with, or it could be news about somebody choosing something that's rather shocking. Now, I do want to point out at the bottom of this tower is a man with a staff, and these two figures that look to be trying to escape the tower, but they're caught by this man who seems to be, he really seems to be threatening them both. They have terrified looks on their faces. Um, for some of you, that may be a significant warning. I don't want to say that that's the feeling I'm getting off it, because it's not, but for some of you that are dealing in a situation where there is a third party and you are, not being completely honest, and you have gotten yourself kind of in a situation where you don't want to be, or could end up in this Three of Swords, that could be a warning there. But we will clarify to see what exactly that is, if it's just something that you weren't expecting, or if it is something that could be devastating. Moving on to your advice. So we have the High Priestess and the Six of Cups. So yeah, that's the fifth card that can represent a child or children being involved. Also, there is a baby here in the High Priestess, which is Pisces, Cancer energy. Advice with the High Priestess being the first pull, the ones to the side are always the clarifiers. Basically, use your intuition. With this card especially, I feel like you have access to it, and you have a good hold, you have a good connection with that higher aspect of yourself. It's very quiet, but if you listen, it's very clear too. And I feel very strongly that for the most of you that, if this doesn't resonate, if none of this has resonated, then the reading's not for you. But for the people that this does resonate for, the high priestess here would be talking about you kind of already know what the right thing to do is in the situation. Now, for those of you where children are involved, it could be that you have some type of knowledge. Like if it's a custody battle, or if it's um, I can't think of any examples, but you might have some knowledge about regarding children that could help either your situation or their situation or mutually. But I see this more as the past, learning from the past. You already know what happened in the past. There are good memories there, clearly. With the Four of Wands and the Ten of Cups, there are very good memories about this. You look back on it with fondness, with happiness. It makes you smile. Um, but there's also some other things that you know, some very important details. And I think you're looking at it from the perspective of the Fool and the Page to be able to look at it from the right perspective, which is, you know, maybe the Four of Cups and the High Priestess. It's following your intuition, your gut. And again, we would clarify to see if there's anything to go along with that. But I think for the most part, as I said, if this has resonated with you so far, that a lot of you already know what your answer is or what you need to do in this situation. And again, that high priestess is kind of affirming that very loudly, that yes, you have the answer. Are you going to listen? Okay, so let's move on to the most probable outcome. And again, we have the high priestess and the Knight of Swords, and this is why I felt like there was one main strong message. If you look at those two cards together, we've got the card of intuition, secrets, and secret knowledge, followed by the Nine of Swords. Now tell me that doesn't look like somebody regretting the fact that they didn't use their intuition, they didn't listen. Your advice is the High Priestess, the outcome is the High Priestess with the Nine of Swords, which is anxiety, stress, mental strain, or even to the extreme, like a mental breakdown. And we did have the Three of Swords back here. We did have the Seven of Swords, and we definitely had the High Priestess. Now, some of you, this past position card might not even be so much the past as something that you've forgotten to look at, and it's kind of become less important to you than what you're looking at towards in the future. You might already have a happy, committed, stable, safe commitment, but something else is causing as a distraction. And while you're so caught up in the excitement and the fun and the nervous kind of, you know, butterflies in your stomach feeling, while you're in that, your intuition is screaming something at you. I mean, this is also the card of little gifts. So I think it's sending you signs. Even if they're little, they're still very much kind of in your face signs. And the Nine of Swords here would be obviously not a promising or, I mean, this doesn't necessarily mean that this, whatever this is, falls apart. It doesn't necessarily even mean that this back here falls apart. Um, it doesn't even necessarily mean that this is your energy. This could be somebody else's. What if this is the person that you're dealing with, or the person that you are in this with, or a child? If for those of you that may be dealing with that child, this could be that their energy. But the high priestess here would be like the secrets, the cat's out of the bag, the secret's finally out, and somebody is left in that Nine of Swords energy. And she's sitting there looking at you, and she's not saying anything, but she doesn't have to. That's the thing about the high priestess. She doesn't answer, she doesn't speak, because she knows you already know. So, we will definitely clarify in part two to get a little bit more information. I did, shorten this down quite a bit, but if you like the long extended readings, for those of you that have seen them, that's what I offer in my personal readings. I do the full Celtic cross, and it does unfortunately take me too long. But for this one, I decided to cut it down a little bit, and hopefully, you know, um, it'd be a little bit easier to swallow and sit through. But if this does resonate with you and you are interested, stay tuned for part two, where we will break these down even further. If not, I appreciate you sticking with me if you have for this long. And please, leave a comment, share your story, hit the like button, subscribe, all that good stuff if you liked what you saw today. And I will see you guys soon. Hopefully in the extended. If not, that's okay too.